We'd like to welcome you to the 2018-2019 Club 1 volleyball season. My name is Bree Isaacson, and I am the club director.
And my name is Bridget Hack, and I'm the business manager.
And essentially what our goal here is today is to give our new families and our returning families all the details of our program. We used to do parent meetings. It was super difficult for families to get in with other kids and job responsibilities. So we put together this video for you to be able to watch it at your leisure and hopefully answer any of the questions that you may have about our program. I will cover a majority of the information, and then Bridget will talk finances, and she will talk uniform and kind of what you're going to do from here. So the first thing that I just want to touch on is that prior to the start of the season, which our season will start mid-November, exact start times will come out once we get through the next 2 weeks of tryouts. All athletes must have a current USAV membership. All athletes must have a current AAU membership, and all forms must be completed and submitted prior to the start of practices. So all USA and AAU memberships are expired at this point when the season's starting anyways, but it's just important to know that all of that must be complete for an athlete to begin practices. Once Bridget gets through all the paperwork, she will certainly reach out to you if you're missing something. You will not be surprised you didn't have it, but just as a heads up to our families, it must all be complete prior to the first day of practice. As I mentioned, practices do begin mid-November. The season will then run through mid-June or to the end of June. A couple quick things. Team placement. So when we get into the gym, the first couple weeks of practices are simply training. So no teams are determined. The groups will come in together based on their age division. And then after a few weeks of practice, we will place them on their teams. The reason that we do that is because we know that kids have had a little time off. They're coming back in the gym. It may take a little bit of time to kind of, brush off the rust from their high school seasons. So we kind of look over, and quite frankly, sometimes people just have a bad day. So we look over them a period of time, and then we'll go ahead and put them onto teams. And then, the tournament information will come out for you, and you'll be able to follow that based on the team that your daughter is put on. Practices. The exact practice schedule will be emailed out to our families again after our final tryout, which is our 17s and 18s tryout. While we do have a really good idea of where the teams will be slotted, until we actually have the tryout, it's difficult to put that information out because if we need to make an adjustment to ensure that our athletes get the most out of their practices, meaning we moved a different day or we put a different team in with a different group, and we've already communicated it out, it becomes difficult at that time to make those changes. So once we get through the next 2 weeks, that'll come out immediately, and that schedule gets set for the duration of the entire club season. So it won't be something that's changing for you or you won't know when it is. It'll be a complete schedule from start to finish. We do ask that our athletes arrive 15 minutes before practice begins. We want to make sure they have enough time to put on their gear, go to the bathroom, do all the things that they need to do so we can start right on time and get the most out of the practice. Practice attire will be a Club 1 t-shirt, spandex, knee pads, socks, shoes, shirt tucked in, hair pulled back. If the beginning practices your daughter has not played for Club 1, you don't have one, any athletic t-shirt will do. Our returning Club 1 families, we do ask that you wear your Club 1 practice t-shirts, and then once those are handed out, that would be the expectation for the remainder of the season. If your daughter is going to be late to practice, is going to be absent, we do ask that they communicate directly with their coach and hopefully earlier than once the practice has started so that we make sure we're doing the things in practice with the kids that we have. At the beginning, if you don't know who your child's coach is, which you will not, you can feel free to email Bridget or myself and we will pass that information along to the lead coach in that age division. Our athletes are allowed 3 excused practices. This is a little bit of a change from last year, so I do just kind of want to touch on this. Those 3 practices, in the past, we've kind of communicated that they're yours to use. So if you just want to go to a 90th birthday party, if you want to have a vacation, whatever it is. What we're going to ask now is that we kind of use those for things that we really can't get out of. Studying for finals, someone's really sick, things like that. The club season is really long. And so we know that there's going to be finals and illness and different things throughout the course of the season. So we're trying to minimize the amount of time our athletes are gone. Certainly someone with an extended illness, an extended injury, something outside the norm, we always work with those families. And then if you do miss more than 3 practices, you do have the ability to make those up on a different practice night with a different team. It's not necessarily something we want to use all the time because we want our athletes training with their teams and in their age divisions, but we certainly have it in place for somebody that, needs to miss for something, and they can make up that practice so that they get the most out of it. We do just want to mention that practices at Club One, our Club One facility, are closed to our families, not because we don't want you to see, simply because we just don't have the space. So you're more than welcome to sit in our lobby, drop off and come back. If your kids are driving themselves, then this is a moot point. We do have more space at the church on the outer perimeter and through the windows. You're more than welcome to look in there. But we just want to make sure that as we're doing conditioning on the outer parts of the courts and teams are practicing, that we don't have bodies standing in there that could create an injury as well. One last thing about our practice schedule is that we run a master coach philosophy, and essentially what that means is that all kids in our gym are trained with the same practice schedule and the same with the same coaches. So everyone's working on passing, attacking, defense, serving, blocking, and everyone's getting all of that so that every team is getting the same training in our gym. One exception that we have kind of to our rule is multiple sport athletes. We take great pride in the fact that many of our athletes are involved in more than one thing. We think it's wonderful. With that said, we do ask that if your child is playing a high school sport, we do ask that you provide a game schedule and a practice schedule to your coach or to us once it becomes available. And that way we can kind of plan for when they won't be there. If they have to come late, if they have to leave early, we are totally supporting of that. We just ask that your family makes a great effort to be there for as little or as much as you can on any night. But we do know that a high school sport comes first, and with good communication, quite frankly, we've never really had any issues with it at all. As far as tournaments go, tournament play will not begin until January. As I mentioned, you'll get the tournament schedule in the next couple of weeks, and then once your daughter is placed on a team, you'll know the exact tournament schedule because not every team plays at all of the same tournaments, although a lot of them are similar. We kind of figure that you'll play on average 2 times per month, January through June, but this is dependent upon availability. We do try to spread it out for our families to have a little bit of a life balance, but additionally for injuries. So we don't want to be playing every weekend and have kids get banged up, and we kind of look to space it out over the course of the season. But because we don't really host, we don't really have a say in what's offered and when. We do ask as a general rule of thumb that you arrive 1 hour before you play and 45 minutes before you officiate. So, your coach will tell you when to be there. But just if you miss a practice before or if you haven't done this before, that's kind of what we would expect. Some tournaments are half day, meaning you're going to play 3 matches in the morning, or in the afternoon you're going to go home. Some are full day matches, and those are or full day tournaments, my apologies. And those are kind of when you're going to get there early in the morning, you're going to stay all day, and then you're going to go home when it's dark. So, because you're going to play till there's a true champion. Those will be listed on your schedule. All athletes must stay until all of your playing and officiating duties are complete. So no one can leave early. If there's a special situation, feel free to talk with your coach, but everyone needs to stay for all of that. We do ask that you respect the food policies of each host site. We've talked about this several times, but there is no place that we go that allows you to bring in outside food. Right or wrong, that's where tournaments make money. So they have kind of made their menus better. I know we've gone places, there's healthier choices, there's gluten-free options. So, but if there is a specific allergy or situation that your child has, feel free to email Bridget and myself, and we'll communicate directly with that host site and see kind of what they need to do to allow you to eat something different off the menu. And then, but for our families, if you want to bring a cooler and eat outside, that's absolutely fine. You just can't bring it inside. The last thing that I just want to mention for our families is when you get the tournament schedule, you'll get it for the entire year. And you'll know, hey, this Saturday we're playing in a tournament. But you may not know the start time until the Wednesday before the event. So power leagues and things like that are ongoing, they typically put those in AES. It regenerates and fairly soon. Single day events, they do not put out those events till the Wednesday before. And the reason that they do that is because there is always ads and drops. And so what happens is, everybody wants it. The tournament gets rushed to put it out. They throw it out. We send it out. We send it to you. The next day a team drops. They fix it. They send it to us. We send it to you. The next day somebody else drops. And so now you've had 3 versions and nobody knows if they're coming or going anymore. So essentially, you can expect tournament times to be released the Wednesday before the weekend that you play. The actual dates you'll know well in advance, but the times, if we get it sooner, we will send it out immediately. As we are parents with children, and the sooner that we can get it, that's very beneficial for us as well. In terms of playing time, so we set up our teams with what we think is the right number of athletes to have, so that everybody has a role on the teams. And we think this is beneficial in their development. We certainly feel strongly that training is a big piece of it, but we know that competition adds to that, and certainly that's what the athletes like to do as well. Playing time's earned in practice, and the harder they work, the greater opportunity that they have. But we will create opportunities for athletes to have a role on each team, but it could never possibly be equal. It will be relative to the position that your daughter plays. And certainly if they want to get more, if they're only a front row player and want to play back, or they're a back and they want to get front, those are things that they can discuss directly with their coach, but those would be things that would have to be earned in practice. And one thing that I just want to mention, and while this has never been, it's never totally presented itself, but we do just want to mention on our top teams, we do not guarantee play time. Now again, we've done this for a long time, and there's never been a situation where someone's never played at all, but sometimes in moments where you need to make an adjustment or you need to do something to win a big match, we can't guarantee it on the top teams for every minute of every second of every tournament that we play in, but we feel confident that we put the right kids on the right team so each of them can help enhance the team. We do ask that if your daughter isn't playing as much as she would like to be, or she's not playing the position she'd like to be playing, or there's some sort of conflict there, we do ask that your daughter talk first directly with the coach. They see your child every day in practice. I'm a master coach for most of the age divisions at the club. I'll have the opportunity to see them. I think our coaches have great interaction with their athletes, so they kind of know before you even get to the tournament what their role is going to be. But if it isn't and they're unhappy about it, we ask that the athlete discuss directly with the coach first. If after a little bit of time there isn't any resolution and you'd like to come in and talk with the coach and your daughter and myself, I'd be happy to do that. But please just know that sometimes those things take time. So if your daughter talked to the coach yesterday and its tournament is tomorrow, it probably isn't going to be changed in 24 hours. Just give it a little bit of time, but we're more than happy to discuss. And there's never been a situation where we've all sat down together to discuss that we haven't been able to make it better. Club One does enforce a 24-hour rule, and that simply means that a parent must wait 24 hours to discuss a situation that happened at a tournament or at a practice with a coach. What I can tell you is this. We've been doing this a long time, and at the end of the day, once it's said, whatever it is, it can't be taken back. And so we want to ensure that if there is an issue, that we kind of communicate in a way that's going to resolve it instead of hurt feelings and really cause more of a problem. So if something happens and it needs to be discussed, we simply ask that you wait 24 hours and then you can reach out to the coach to kind of form a plan of when we can meet and discuss. The last thing that I'm just going to mention is, well, I guess I have 2 things. If we are having a meeting, just know we're going to always just talk about your daughter. We're not going to talk about anybody else on the team. We're going to talk about your daughter. So, and the last thing that I just want to kind of throw out there is that our coaches, almost all of them have full-time jobs outside of this. They come running in from their practices. They have families. They have kids. They miss things too, for the same passion and love of the game that we have. And we simply ask that you respect our coaching staff. They dedicate so many hours in the gym, both in practice and in tournaments, and they would absolutely never disrespect your child, and we would ask for the same respect back. We do have a parent expectation clause. We feel very confident at Club One, after years of doing this, that we have great families. And we do know that matches become heated and officials make and miss calls, and kids make mistakes, and we know all of those things happen. But we ask that our families are just always respectful of the game and the officials and the clubs and our kids and all of those things. And we've really had no problems with that, but we have been a part of, matches and other situations where parents and quite frankly other clubs have not been as respectful. So we did put in a parent expectation clause, and it simply asks that you are respectful of the club, the coaches, and the players, to demonstrate good sportsmanship to club and players as well as other teams, coaches, and officials, to support the development of each player, and just to simply be respectful of the game. And again, we don't have problems with that, but we do want to throw it out there because we take great pride in the fact that we act the right way when we're doing it as well. So as I move on here, I'm moving on to travel. So the travel, again, is a little dependent on the team that your daughter is going to be placed on, and there are some changes kind of with that this year. So the first thing that I want to throw out is 15s through 18s will all attend MEQ. That's the Mid-East qualifier. Most of you guys have probably all been there. The last couple of years it's been held in Indy, but this year it's a split. So I can tell you that for 11s, which is obviously the youth, through 15s, which is our 15U program, the date of the tournament is March 15th through 17th, and it is held in St. Louis, not in Indianapolis this year for those age divisions. And then our 16s through 18s are back in Indy, and they are March 22nd through the 24th. Again, this will be on your tournament schedule, but we know that parents start to plan for those out-of-town trips. We want to get you the dates because they are available. For AAUs, they start, I looked them up today, and it starts anywhere from June 16th and can run through June 28th. Again, once your daughter's placed on a team, then you'll know the specific waves that they go in. And then our 15 red, royal, and white all attend the AAU National Championships. And then blue, gray, black, they attend the A6 Navy Peer Championships, and those are held mid-June. And we looked before we did this video today, and the 2018-2019 dates aren't up, but it was mid-June last year, and it has been for the last several years. So that's the A6 National Championship that's held locally, here in downtown Chicago. So we have taken some teams to JVA Worlds, and that's a possibility to discuss with, specific teams, but these are the ones that kind of everybody will be a part of. A couple things about travel, just so you have a heads up. It's state of play. USA Volleyball is state of play. So essentially what will happen is we secure rooms. We get a block based on the amount that we request. They give us a deadline. We put a travel letter together for you. We email it out to you. You'll get it from Bridget out of Sport Engine. And then you have a certain amount of time to book your rooms. And then, after that time, the room block goes back into the database. So if you miss the deadline, that group rate that we get will no longer be available to you. So, and I can tell you that for Indy, it's exceptionally difficult to get rooms. So try to jump on that. The other thing is it is state of play. So just so you are aware, in order for us to be cleared to be in the event, you must stay at the hotel that they choose for us. So you have to get your entry and your roster in, and you have to meet a hotel requirement. So we'll get that out to our families, in the coming weeks. Just be sure when you put your information in, your credit card in, that you pay close attention to the deadlines, the parking fees, anything else that kind of are associated with them, because we have nothing to do with it. So if you try to cancel your room past the deadline date, we unfortunately do not have any more power than you to try to get out of that. So just be sure to kind of pay attention both to the dates that, you can book the room and then to the dates that you can cancel. So, but we'll get that kind of out. If you aren't planning on attending a trip for whatever reason, feel free to reach out to Bridget and I, and we can talk about a way to kind of have your daughter stay with somebody else. Different this year, we are going to talk with our 18s program about attending the USAV National Championships and ending our seasons earlier this year, but still being a part of the national championships, which we think is important in their development as they move on to college as well. So for our 18s, we have them slotted for the USA National Championships, which happen at the end of April instead of the AAU National Championships, which happen at the end of June. but we will discuss specifically with our 18s program once we get those athletes kind of in the gym, and we'll talk with our families as well. So a couple other things that I have, spirit wear. People have asked about spirit wear. Once we get through uniforms and registration, we will send something out. Nike puts together a nice package of spirit wear for us. We typically do one, in the fall, winter, and then we do one in the spring. So you can look for that information. We do offer private lessons. We don't think people need to be doing them when they're in their club season, but if you need something additional, you can reach out to Bridget or myself. We do have Corey Sackett is our recruiting coordinator. He helps all of our athletes. Last year, we had a great recruiting year. So if your daughter hasn't been in touch with him or is new to Club One, and you need some recruiting help, he hosts a recruiting meeting right after all of our teams are done to kind of get you started. And then you would work exclusively with him to get maybe a game tape and then a video put up, and he will help and kind of guide our families through. We do have a website, we do have a Facebook, we do have an Instagram, and that's pretty much where it ends for Bridget and I. We're not sure about tweeting, and last time I found out that Vine is like in the past, and we can't keep up with all of it. So quite frankly, if you want to see how our teams are doing, our college commitments, things that are going on great in the club, feel free to check the website. But more than that, check our Instagram, check our Facebook, like us on there. We put all of our team successes and exciting things that are happening in our club. So be certain to check that. One other thing that I have is, just as a reminder, our parking is limited at our Club One facility. And I should say this, I didn't mention on it earlier. We use two facilities at Club One. We use our Club One facility that we've had for the past 10 years. That's on 143rd Street. But we also have the Plainfield Community Sportsplex that we took over using last year. We're using it again this year. It's less than a mile from our facility. It's on Route 59, just past 143rd Street. We'll communicate which location you're at when that practice schedule comes out as well, but they're so close to each other, so it shouldn't really add any time one way or another onto your trip. But in terms of our parking lot, we have the lot in ours, which is on the side of our building and in the front. We are technically not allowed to park down once our building ends and a new building begins, which is the CrossFit. There's a t-shirt shop in there. There's a music store in there. We are not technically allowed to park in there, as that's parking for their customers. So they do have the right to tow. So be certain to park either in ours, on Coyle Plus Drive, which is the street that's directly behind us, or in the Publix Work building that is across the street. And the last thing that I have, and then I'm going to hand it over to Bridget. I think I touched on everything. If I think of something along the way, I'll chime back in. But the last thing that I want to just mention is that last year in our club season, we had a phenomenal club season. And we take great pride in the fact that our athletes work hard. It's a place where they can come and grow and get better and be challenged, but have fun while they're doing it. And we kind of are proud of the fact that our athletes have a life balance. And that if they do want to play another sport, that they're able to do that, but that our time in the gym is spent working hard and making us better, and we're finding success doing that. And last year, we had 2 teams win the JVA World Challenge, which was very exciting for us. Last year, we had 2 teams in the AAU National Championship games. So we had 2 national runner-ups last year, which was beyond exciting. And we had 18 All-Americans last year. We had as many athletic All-Americans as we did academic All-Americans. And we take great pride in the fact that not only are our athletes killing it on the floor, but they're killing it in the classroom as well. And we also finished the year with 18 athletes signing collegiately to go on and play at the next level. So we're super excited at what we're able to do and the balance that we're able to have, and we take great pride in what we accomplished, and we look forward to a great season of even bigger and better things this coming year. So I'm going to hand it over to Bridget, and she's going to kind of talk about her part, and then we'll tell you where we're going from here.
The great thing about my part is it's not as long as hers. So we're almost done. But this is the important part, I'm sure, for a lot of people, because this is now going to be the finances, some fundraising, and what to do next now that we're through the tryout and you're watching the video. I'm going to start with the fees for this year, and I'm going to break it down per age division, just so that you know included in the fees will be your tuition, your travel events, and this year the entire club will be getting new jerseys because our jerseys from last year have expired and that style is not offered anymore. So we've included that in the fees because it's essential that everybody gets them. So we just thought we'd make it easier for you and do that. Please know that with the travel, I know we're talking high school now, so a lot of people have done this before, but we like to reiterate it. Those are the fees associated with the team. So your travel down there, whether you choose to drive or fly, the hotel, the food, those things are an additional cost. This is what the cost for the team: registrations, coaches, stipends, insurance, all the things that we need to have for the teams are included in this. Our 15 new players, the cost this season is $3,000. If you are a returning player, it's $2,900. 16s and 17 new players is $3,100, and 16-17 returners are $3,000. And 18 new players are $2,900, and if you're an 18 returner, it is $2,800. So the way that we handle our accounts is we give options to either pay in full, or you can split that fee into 5 installments. And what will happen, and I'll talk about the registration, but essentially what happens is you will register for your program and you will select your payment plan. If you choose to pay in full, we do not have any processing fees. You would just pay that fee. Sometimes Sport Engine does charge a $1 processing fee, which is their fee. If that would be the case, I just want to, make you aware of it. And then your additional payments would be due on 12/1, 1/1, 2/1, and 3/1. Now, what I can tell you, the way the system works is if you were to choose 2 payments, let's just say, it takes 20% as your deposit, and then the balance would be due on 12/1. It doesn't do 50-50. And it's just the way that it works. So just so you know and are aware of that. Another thing that you need to be aware of is if you do split it into payments, there is a $35 installment fee on payments 2 through 5. So the first one, there would not be a fee, but then on 2, 3, 4, and 5, that installment would be added to your monthly payment. And they do come out as 2 different itemized line items. So there'd be the installment fee and then what your actual tuition payment would be. I'll get to Sport Engine on how that works, but what's super important is when you're selecting it is just making sure that you know what it is that you want to do, because unfortunately there's not a lot of give on making changes. So if you were to, for some reason, do something and you want to change it, you will not be able to go back in and say, I said 5, but I want to do 3. You just would have to contact me, and at any point, we can make adjustments to make it work. But you can't just go in and out of the system and make any changes. So you would just need to reach out to me. The additional uniform items that are going to be needed will be a separate order. And if you're returning to Club 1, and if there's nothing that you need, shoes, spandex, backpack, you do not have to purchase anything additional than the jerseys that you'll be getting. Now, the jerseys are going to be sent to us, and we'll size the girls and hand those out when we get the jerseys. As crazy as it is, we have to order those back in July. Before we even know what's going to happen, we have to give a good estimated guess on sizes and amounts and things like that. So we'll size the girls when those come in. But we will be opening up the Nike Team Store. And if you're a returner, you don't need anything unless you choose to buy something. But if you're a new player, you would go on that link and you would order the shoes, the warm-up pants, the jacket, the backpack, the socks, the knee pads, and the spandex. And this year, we've been fortunate enough to offer some options. So when you're in the store, and if you see we're offering black and white knee pads, you get to choose whichever you want. It doesn't mean you need both. There might be 2 different styles of socks. We're only asking that you get one. It's your choice of color preference. As long as we offer you a choice, you are fine to get whichever one you decide to do, because it's all going to blend and it's all going to work with our uniform package. That link will be sent out fairly soon. We may even have it by, as you're watching this. And the turnaround time to order these things is quick. So it could be a week from the time we get it to you, 8 days, something along those lines. So please make sure you pay attention to those due dates and when this, because the store will close and it becomes difficult to get those items. We need to ensure we have it for tournament play. Yeah. And we're the middle of November, or I'm sorry, beginning of November, they're playing, you've got holidays. So we just want to make sure that we have the items needed for everybody. So when you get that, you will order the stuff through Nike and they will ship it directly to you. Jerseys come to us, uniform comes to you. Returners, if you just need shoes, that store is open, or spandex, whatever it is, for you to order things as well. So the next question I get quite a bit is there any options or opportunities to offset costs? And we do offer our fundraiser, and we've been doing this for a very long time, and it's been very successful for families who are looking at ways to offset their costs. Mm-hmm. And the way that our fundraiser works is each family is asked to sell 10 raffle tickets at $10 a piece, so $100. And first prize is $10,000. So Bree and I laugh and talk every year that if we could purchase tons of tickets, we would try, like I don't need a candy bar, I don't need another candle, all that kind of stuff. My next job is working at Bath and Body Works, so I can buy all the candles. But for this year, I'm still here loving what I do. Yeah. But the point is it's an easy sell for people because $10 to win $10,000. Yeah. Why not? I say go to everybody you've ever bought Girl Scout cookies from. You will sell the tickets. But after the first 10 that you sell, 100% goes back to you. So I have to be honest. We have our youth already had their tryouts. And you will get your tickets at the paperwork drop-off, which is the last thing I talk about. And I can't keep the tickets in the office because people keep coming in for more booklets. And they're like, this is such an easy, great way to be able to offset our costs. And essentially what would happen is this, is if you sold, let's say, 50 tickets or 5 booklets worth of tickets, the first 100 goes to the fundraiser, and then you would receive a refund check in the amount of $400 for the additional things that you sold. Usually those checks would come out at the end of January. You will be able to sell all the way up to right before our Christmas break. That's when the raffle is pulled. And then there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that we have to do to become given the okay to cut refunds and filing things and all the boring stuff that I have to do. But then you would just get a refund check. If you have fees that are due, we can sometimes offset that, like your last payment or something like that if you were on a payment plan. So I would be in touch with you. I would let you know, what it is that we were going to do, but all of that would come back to you. So it's a great way to help with your fees. We also understand that you've already depleted everybody that you know and have totally overasked for purchasing stuff. By my fourth one, I come with the thing, they're like, no, but we do allow you to opt out of the raffle. And when you're going through the registration process, one of the questions will be either to, yes, I accept and I will sell the tickets, or no, I'd like to buy out of the raffle, and it's $75 to do that. And when you drop off your paperwork, we will already know that you don't need tickets and you just do not have to sell. So if you don't want to do it or don't have the time to do it, we do give you the option to opt out. That brings me to the very last part of our video, and that is what to do next. So you have watched this video, which means that you already have seen your daughter's number as being accepted into the program, and you have completed the first step. The first step is to watch the video. The second step, and all of this will be outlined on our webpage as you've already seen, but you will need to email your commitment to me by noon on Monday the 22nd. And we ask that you do this because we do have a wait list. And if people know that they're not going to be accepting their position, we do want to make sure that we reach out to those that are on the wait list to give them an opportunity to accept. And we do stick pretty hard to the deadline because the turnaround time for you to come and drop in your paperwork is the same night Monday the 22nd. So please just pay attention to that step. It's a super important step. We don't want to assume that you are or aren't coming, but if we don't hear from you, we would assume that you are not. So we would give that spot to somebody else. The third step, super important as well, is getting yourself registered in Sport Engine. You already set up an account to register for the tryout. In Sport Engine, every registration is a different link. So a lot of times people will try to go back to the link for tryout. They'll say, I can't register. Please click the link in the step-by-step. Here you'll put in your information. You're going to choose your payment plan, all that good stuff. Please use the account email that you check the most often, because that's all of our correspondence. Anything on tournaments, anything on changes, if there was a cancellation due to weather, if there's anything, tournament schedules, hotel information, it's all going to go to the information or the email that you set up in Sport Engine.
Right.
Sometimes we want our kids to be responsible. I beg you, do not. Do not do it. We have a lot of kids in the past that have put their own email address in and they haven't told their parents about very important things. And, and we just want to make sure everybody gets the information. It will then go on to list, there's a couple of forms that need to be printed and brought in. The financial agreement being one of them. Even though you initial it in the system, a hard copy is attached to your daughter's file. You'll need to print out the USAV medical form as well as 2 separate JVA forms. I have everything in separate steps, so there shouldn't be any confusion with that. I'll also have the instructions on how to renew your USAV membership or obtain one if you haven't gotten one yet, and the AAU membership. And both of those are needed for tournaments that they attend. And then the last thing that you'll do is you'll print all those forms out, fill them out, and on Monday, the 22nd, from 5:30 to 7 at the Club One facility, we will have the paperwork drop-off. And at that time, you'll come in, you'll hand in your paperwork, and we will have samples of the uniforms. So if your daughters are available, they can come in as well, and they can try on any of the items that they need to try on. If you have the paperwork filled out, it's actually very, very simple. It's a quick process. Probably takes longer for them to try stuff on than it would be for you to drop off the paperwork. I will have some copies there. So if you can't print or you forget them, I will have some limited copies there. But if you can have them done beforehand, it'll just be a lot quicker for you. We look forward to a great season.
Yeah.
We have, been going through this, and we're excited to be back where we are right now. So we welcome everybody to Club One. Of course, after you watch this video, if there's any specific questions, you can email us back.
Sure.
One thing I just want to say, when you email your commitment to Club One, I will email you back letting you know that I got it. So there won't be any problems or any confusion as to whether or not I've gotten it. Everybody will get a response. And we look forward to starting the new season.
Absolutely. We look forward to a great year.